Hey there. Hello, how do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling. Yes, it is. It's 1986. It's summer 1986. I finished shooting one Sunday afternoon. That was a success. We'll see how that goes. It's still being edited, and I am still on unemployment. All right, but we did have an acting gig in a movie, and that's going to be fantastic. We're very excited about it, and we can't wait. But meanwhile, I'm just moving along on unemployment. And then, with extraordinary luck, I've had extraordinary luck regarding employment. I was unemployed for a long time, for a while, but every now and then, jobs just came to me. My beloved roommate Pamela's brother, Mark, Pamela's hilarious, fantastic brother, Mark, is a carpenter and a private contractor and salt of the earth and a good fellow. Says, hey, you want some work? And I'm like, yes. He says, carpentry and spackling, you good with that? And I'm like, yes, you know, I'm a carpenter and spackling is fun. That's easy. He says, all right, we'll meet next Tuesday and we'll go out to Jersey City, where I've got a couple of houses, and we'll get a look at the lay of the land. All right. So Tuesday comes along, and he shows up at 9:30 in the morning, and he says, before we get going, let's have a cup of coffee and smoke a couple of bowls. And I'm like, you're the best boss ever. So we had some coffee, and eventually it's time to get going on to Jersey City. We subway down to Grand Central and take the PATH train to New Jersey, into Jersey City there, and you walk a few blocks to an apartment there, and we go on in. And some of these apartments, we went to a few, were sort of messed up. That wall, you say you need some spackling, it's like they used the entire wall as a dartboard. Wow, were they just hanging pictures every square inch? Were they shooting darts at the thing? Same thing with the ceiling. What were they doing? What was going on around here? It's fine. It's spackling. It's easy. He wanted to do the carpentry. Spackling is easy and fun. Nothing. So we spent a couple hours at the one site looking at this and looking at that. Then we went over to another one of his houses, and looked at the lay of the land over there. You know, also more spackling to be done, also more carpentry to be done. And then by 3:00 in the afternoon, he says, well, let's call it a day. And I'm like, you're the best boss ever. He says, let's go to the bar. And I'm like, yeah. Well, if you insist. And we went to the bar and had a little lunch and had a couple of pitchers of beer. So by the time 5:00 rolls around, we're good and drunk. And we take the PATH train back to Manhattan, back to Grand Central, back to subway, back up to Pamela's apartment at 98th and Broadway. And we go in there, and Pamela and David, my roommate Pamela's wonderful sweetheart David, is there, and the two of them are sitting around smoking reefer. It's fantastic. So Mark and I join in, and we're smoking doob. Doob was the noun. Doob. Get out the doob. Doob was also the verb. Let's doob. Doob was also the adjective. Oh, I'm doobed. Anyhow, that was David's terminology, and we went with that. Let's doob. So we doobed for a while until it was really late. And I am completely exhausted. I've been up all day and now up all night. I look at the clock. It's 8:00. Oh, that's right. We started getting drunk at 3. No wonder I'm so exhausted. So I'm like, all right, Marky baby, when do we get together tomorrow? 9:30 or something? He says, no, we'll get together Thursday or Friday or something like that. I'll be in touch, and then we'll start in on it, and we'll have some work. And I'm like, this is fantastic. So that's what wound up happening. We wound up going out to Jersey City 3 or 4 times a week. and a lot of spackling. I took my little tape recorder with me. I listened to Frank Zappa. I'd play Zappa for us, or Desmond Decker, or Nina Simone, or Johann Sebastian Bach, and I would just play tape after tape after tape, and spackle after spackle after spackle. Some of these walls, you had to essentially redo the entire wall with spackle. It was all right. It was fine. It's a lot of fun, and and I'm pretty good at it. So it was therapeutic. It was actually therapeutic. Get the paste, get the muck, get the mud, smear it on, and you got that nice tool, and you cut it nice and smooth and flat. There's something so satisfying about that. Well, Mark and I did that for weeks until it was getting to be autumn time. And then it was Halloween. And then it was Halloween and something happened. Something so terrifying happened on Halloween that I can only tell you this. And I won't tell you how many stitches I got. But the story is so terrifying that I'm going to tell it to you later, and continue with telling you the story about how I was working with Mark in Jersey City. And then the day after Halloween, you know what happened? I got a phone call from Detroit with an acting job. Out of the blue. This is fantastic. I didn't audition for anything like this. And brilliant Jeffrey, who had directed me in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead back in 1982, before I came to New York, he's saying, yes, we are producing Miracle on 34th Street at the acoustically perfect Orchestra Hall in Detroit. You want in on it? And I'm like, absolutely. So it's like, all right, that's what happened. So I find myself in Detroit again. I'm living and working in Detroit, borrowing my dad's car, the Red Baron, as I did before, and rehearsing at the Orchestra Hall. And we wound up performing Miracle on 34th Street throughout from the Thanksgiving season to the Yuletide season, and it closed, thank heavens, before Christmas, so that we got the holiday itself off. Fantastic. And then I'm still here in Michigan. And I'm still going to get another job building another set at the Greenfield Village Theater Company. Right. And I also wound up working Babes in Toyland as a backstage crew member. That was delightful because that's a lot of shows, and that wound up being a lot of money. And that was at Greenfield Village too. So that took me into the new year, and I built another set, and then, every now and then I would check in with Pamela, and we'd get on the phone together and see how each other was doing, and I was staying at my friend Hal Doyle's house. I was staying at Hal Doyle's. What a guy. We used to sit around and chop garlic. That's what we would do when we were roommates. He had an extra room, and he said, Harry, just come and stay at my place. I got an extra room. And so I did, and so we would sit at the dining room table with the television in front of us, and with 2 cutting boards and 2 knives and 2 bulbs of garlic, and we would just sit and chop clove after clove after clove after clove and put it in a cottage cheese container. We had this cottage cheese container filled with garlic. So we were eating a lot of garlic. You would just sprinkle it on absolutely everything. and not cornflakes. Ick. Ew. But just about every other thing that was savory, yes, it was magnificent. So, I'm at Hal Doyle's, and Pamela and I are checking in with each other, and she's like, one Sunday afternoon, I'm talking to her, and she says, Harry, David and I are getting married. And I'm like, congratulations. And she says, yes. And we're having a baby. And I'm like, Pamela, oh, congratulations. And she says, yes. And we're using your bedroom as the nursery. And I'm like, oh, yes. Congratulations. And she said, yes. And we packed up your stuff. I'm going to leave you right there. Here's the thing. I've been telling you my New York stories, sort of jumping around in no chronological, no real order. But now that we're nearing the end of the saga, I'm going to go back to the very beginning and tell the whole story in order. Starting in November 1982, when my father, Harry Wetzel, and I packed up a rent-a-truck and drove to New York City together. From that day to this day, when Pamela says, and we packed up your stuff, and beyond, I'll bring you up to today when I have since met the goblins and had the seances and met the ghosts and foiled an assassination attempt on the goblin princess's life. Oh, and it was so exciting, and I'll bring you all up to date on all of that. So, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. I so look forward to talking with you again.